Hi, my name's Lorne Brown. I'm doctor of traditional Chinese medicine and clinical hypnotherapist, and I'm located in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada at AcuBalance Wellness Center. And I wanted to talk about donor egg cycles. In particular, talk about two questions around what is the only regret that I've ever heard from women that have gone through a donor egg cycle, and why I want to meet your baby that was born through donor egg cycles. So why do I want to meet your baby? Well, it comes from a conversation I had many years ago in the early 2000s with one of my mentors, Dr. Randine Lewis, who wrote the book, The Infertility Cure, a practitioner of Chinese medicine. And we had this conversation that she was excited, which made me excited to meet these babies that were born through donor cycles because of the idea of how they're getting the health of a younger woman and the spiritual maturity of a mature woman when they're being created. So let's talk about what happens in a natural cycle, and then I'll bring this full circle. In a natural cycle, usually women conceive and give birth when they're much younger, in their 20s or early 30s. And physically, this baby inherits the physical strength of a younger woman, but spiritually, this woman is not as mature as if she would be when she's 40. So we have these babies being raised by younger women, so they get the physicality, but not necessarily that spiritual maturity in their upbringing. When you think of women conceiving with their own eggs in their late 30s or early 40s, well, now physically, that strength that the child is inheriting is not as strong as if they were 20. So they're at a disadvantage physically. However, these women are spiritually mature, and so they're going to be carried and raised by women that kind of have their life in order compared to when they were a 20-year-old. Now look at donor egg cycles, and this child gets the physicality from the younger woman. So they got that physical opportunity to be healthy and strong because they're using the eggs of a younger woman, and the baby's being gestated, carried, and then raised by a woman in her late 30s or early 40s where she's spiritually mature. And this is what myself and Randine mean by we can't wait to meet these babies that were conceived and born through donor egg cycles, because they got the best of both worlds, this physical and the spiritual. And in Chinese medicine, we talk about prenatal Jing in essence and postnatal Jing in essence. And this ties into this conversation around donor egg cycles. So prenatal Jing in essence is like your genetic material. And so a woman that is younger is going to pass on stronger prenatal Jing or essence to her child. Just like in the West, we understand that younger women pass on younger, healthier genetic materials. So it gives that health blueprint a better chance. During gestation, while you carry the baby and after the baby's born, what is exposed to through diet and lifestyle, so what the mother's eating during pregnancy, her exercise, her stress reduction, all her vitamins, her supplements, that's going to impact the child's health blueprint. We call that epigenetics in the West, or postnatal Jing, kind of in Chinese medicine. And then after the baby's born is when we really call it postnatal Jing or essence. And that's still part of that epigenetic impact, where what the baby eats, what the baby's exposed to in its environment through stress and through chemicals, through fresh air, through laughter, all that stuff is going to impact how genes are turned on or off, so the health of the child. So for the prenatal Jing, when you do a donor egg cycle, they're inheriting a stronger prenatal Jing if a woman's 20 or 30 compared to if a woman's 38 or 42. So you're getting that healthier or stronger prenatal Jing. And then that spirituality from the mother, eating well, living well, that's the postnatal Jing or the epigenetic impact. And so this is why I look forward to meeting these babies born from donor egg cycles, because they got the physicality and the spirituality, the maturity from their parents, which gives them a good foundation to live in this world. If there's any regrets, and this is a good regret, but there's only one regret I've ever heard from my patients, and I've been doing this since the year 2000 in practice, and the only regret I've ever heard, it doesn't come up often, but when they share they have one regret, it's as follows. They wish they didn't delay going into the donor egg cycle, because the only regret they have is that they could have had this baby and this love in their arms so much sooner. And so that's a good regret, in that they are so in love with their baby. They're so happy they've done the donor egg cycle, that the only regret they have is that they waited a year or 2 or 3 years before doing it. And that meant they delayed having this opportunity. Now, the reality clinically, what happens is everybody wants to conceive naturally. That is our goal. Nobody wants to do IVF. Nobody wants to do a donor egg cycle. But for whatever reason, sometimes where the cards are laid out for us, that conceiving naturally or conceiving with your own eggs just is not an opportunity, not available to you. And we are fortunate that we live in a time where there's techniques like IVF and donor egg cycles where we can still become parents and have children, because the technology and certain modalities like we practice in AccuBalance can help your egg and sperm reach their peak fertility potential. So through dietary therapy, through stress reduction, through lifestyle, all these things can affect your biological aging, which affects your egg and sperm quality. Using acupuncture to increase blood flow and regulate hormones, using low-level laser therapy, photobiomodulation to improve mitochondrial function, the batteries of the cells, regulate inflammation, increase blood flow, using dietary therapy, as we mentioned, supplements, herbs. There's lots of things that are available to us now that can help us reach our peak fertility potential, the egg and the sperm, whether trying to conceive naturally or IVF with your own eggs or in a donor egg cycle. So for those of you that end up going through a donor egg cycle or already have, you're aware that you first often need to exhaust everything, right? It's just not like I'm ready to do it. Usually you try for a while with your own eggs naturally. You may try some natural approaches, some ovulation drugs, and then we increase the intervention like an in vitro fertilization. And if an IVF does not bring that success, then after you've exhausted everything else, then often women will become ready to do a donor egg cycle. So it's a process. I don't know. I can't think of too many cases where that's the first thing that somebody wanted to do. And so wanted to let you know that you're not alone in this, that it is a process that people have to go through. Even if your clinic says, hey, based on your age, based on your hormone profile, based on past outcomes that we've seen, we recommend a donor egg cycle, even though that's what your doctor's recommending or your clinic's recommending. Sometimes you just need to, one more try, need to do what you can to make sure you've left no stone unturned. And that's what we see often in our clinic, are some cases where women are advanced maternal age and they want to leave no stone unturned, or as we call it, they want to try and win the lotto. And you can't win the lotto if you don't buy a lotto ticket. And most of the women I see are very aware that for every winner, because we do see some miracles where on paper, they shouldn't be able to conceive with their own eggs, whether it's naturally or through IVF, but we see it happen. But they're aware, just like there are winners in the lotto, for every winner, we have many people in that situation that did not win. But again, you can't win the lotto if you don't buy a lotto ticket. And so this is a process that many couples or many women go through before they get to a donor egg cycle. And I just want to leave with you again this idea that these babies that are being born through donor egg cycles are special. They got the physicality and they got the spiritual maturity. And you just don't normally have that when you're doing natural cycles or trying to use your own eggs in an IVF cycle. And I've never met anybody that has any real regrets about doing a donor egg cycle. As I shared, the only regret I've ever heard, and I don't consider it a real regret, is that they delayed doing the donor egg cycle because they love this baby so much and they only wish they had brought this baby into the world even sooner so they could have had even more time already with their baby. So that's, as I said, a good regret. If you're interested in knowing more ways that you can optimize your fertility and the uterine receptivity, so how can we maximize your egg quality and sperm quality? How can we help support uterine receptivity? Whether you're trying to conceive naturally or in an IVF cycle or in a donor egg cycle, contact us at accubalance.ca. And we also offer complimentary 15-minute discovery calls as well. Wishing you the best of luck on your journey.